This is my Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. So, yeah, this is a Google Chromebook. So, if you guys don't know, Chromebooks are devices that run the Linux operating system called Google ChromeOS. It is based on Gentoo Linux, and it's also based on a similar system that's open source called Chromium OS. So, yeah, today I'm going to be showing you my Samsung Galaxy Chromebook device. But before, I'm going to let you know something about it. So, it does not run Chrome OS anymore. It now runs Linux, and it's running Fedora to be specific. So, yeah, I'm going to show you something here. So, this is the blinking light. It would be still, or if it's fully charged, it would be green right now. But I disconnected the battery. Why did I do that? Well, because I wanted to be able to use it as a real computer, so in case I lose access to the computers I have in my other place or my gaming laptop here, I'd like to have this one as a spare computer, because I bought this for, I don't know, I just like the color, but I didn't realize, how bad Chromebooks really are, because all they do is browse the internet. That's all they do. Some, especially newer ones, have Crostini, which is a way to turn on a Debian Linux container through the system settings, install a Debian terminal, and run Linux apps through Debian. There's also Android apps, but if you're going to exclusively use Crostini on a Chromebook, you might as well just turn it into a real computer like I did. So I flashed a special core boot firmware from ChromeBooks.tech. They're still active, thankfully, so while you still can, you can, you have a very good... It is very easy to turn your Chromebook into a real computer, though you do have to jump through some hoops. So this is my micro SD adapter, which has my micro SD card with the Fedora ISO in it. So yeah, so I used a program called Balena Etcher on my main computer to burn Fedora XFCE onto this micro SD card. So I put Fedora on this after flashing ChromeBooks.tech on it, which is a core boot firmware from ChromeBooks.tech. It's not actually called ChromeBooks.tech. I'm just referencing the people who made the firmware script to flash core boot on this Chromebook and many other Chromebooks. But yeah. So the first thing I had to do was I had to press the escape and refresh key. On most Chromebooks, the power button is here, but this is a fingerprint reader that I never use. So I had to press this key with my left ring finger, this key, which is the refresh key, with my left index finger, and then right after that I had to press this key with my right hand, my right index finger, to turn on developer mode. Then I had to go into VT2 to run the script because it required sudo, which you can't do sudo on Crush anymore as of version 1.17. But anyways, yeah, as you can see here, I put Fedora Linux on this. So we're gonna log in right now. It looked a little smaller before, but that's because I changed the user resolution to 1920 by 1080 because the original resolution was so high, everything was so small. So anyways, I decided to fix that myself by changing the resolution to 1920 by 1080p. So yeah. So this is the system information, the device name, Cockahoo Rev 6, that's Google's internal name. I kept that name for the Google Chromebook, because And I also kept the username as Chronos. So this is the device and OS name, Fedora, architecture. We have 7.6 gigs of memory. Essentially, it's 8 gigs of memory. GPU, we have Intel Mesa. We have an Intel Core i5 processor. And we have kernel 6.6. So this is about XFCE, the desktop environment. Copyright. Yeah, we don't care about that because it's open source. So yeah, so this is the system information. You can also see it on the terminal. So I customized my bash shell to start NeoFetch as soon as I start the bash shell. So as soon as I log into a teletypewriter, TTY prompt, or go into a console like the XFCE4 terminal or something like that. As soon as I go into a console-like environment like this, NeoFetch is gonna start because I edited the bash RC with Vim, which I have. I'm just gonna show you HTOP to see how we're performing. So this is an 8-core CPU labeled from 0 to 7. So the 8th core is 7, the 1st core is 0. So only 918 megabytes out of 7.63 gigs are being used in the entire system. This is because we're using XFCE, which is a lot lighter than ChromeOS. So any Linux distro with XFCE or a window manager like i3 is particularly going to be lighter than Windows, macOS, or ChromeOS. So we have 96 tasks, we have 193 kill threads, and 204 threads. It's a lot of cores for a Chromebook, but the cores with the highest use are the 1st core with a high of 6, and the lowest core being used is the 5th core. Well, yeah, I was saying it a little wrong. It's just because HTOP labels the cores in a weird way. This is not my fault, it's HTOP's fault. So anyways, now that this is running Linux and only Linux, this is essentially a real computer. I can use it as such. I can use it to do what, the average person would do on their computer. Edit documents offline. Some light photo editing just for fun. And of course, web browsing. Do you enjoy irony, guys? Because I put Firefox on my Chromebook. Well, even more ironic, it's now running Fedora Linux instead of ChromeOS. Yeah, it's even more ironic than that. For fun, I also have CMatrix installed on the Chromebook, so... Oh crap, I'm one-handed here. CMatrix. Links. So yeah, Links works. We have to use our keyboard because it's a terminal program. Everybody knows how to pet a cat, but this is just demonstrational. I could have just clicked the Q button, but whatever. And I already showed HTOP, but we also have Vim. so I can edit HTMLs, which I just do on my regular computer anyways. But yeah, essentially, this is now a real computer. We can use this as such, and we can do things that a normal person would do on their computer, and we aren't stuck to the web. So, what do I recommend? So, if you're buying a computer, if you're buying a computer and you have good money, I recommend not getting a Chromebook. I recommend getting a Windows laptop and then installing Linux on it, or keeping Windows, it's your choice. Or if you have the money, just get a MacBook. Because honestly, ChromeOS, as much as it advertises itself as this secure, reliable OS, obviously it's not a good OS if you want to do anything besides browse the web, which typically people get computers to, browse the web. That's one thing, but also they get them to edit documents offline for work and stuff, or school. You can't do that with a Chromebook by default. So, yeah. And if you're using Christini just to do that, well, again, if you have a Chromebook, you might as well just, flat disable write protect by removing the screw, disconnecting the battery, or however it's done on your device, and then flashing MrChromebookS.tech. Heck, as long as it's working. Hopefully it keeps working for quite a while. But you're better off just flashing core boot firmware and then installing Linux on it if you're stuck with a Chromebook, so you can use it as a real computer and you don't have to worry about Google spying on you while you're trying to use, your OS. And Chrome OS isn't really that secure or reliable. You can't really use it for anything besides browsing the internet. And yeah, that's all you can do on Chrome OS. That's unless you use Android apps, but essentially at the end of the day, Chromebooks are just large tablets with keyboards and mice attached, kind of like those iPads that can do a lot more than Google Chromebooks. So, yeah, if you can afford to, just avoid Chromebooks altogether. They aren't worth it at all. Just don't buy a Chromebook and be smart with your money.